I need love, love to ease my mind. I need to find someone for mine. But mama said, can't hurry love, oh, you just have to wait. She said love don't come easy. It's a game of, it's a game of. I can't bear to live my life alone. I grow impatient for love,
What's up, guys? Welcome to a Proof of Life concept where I prove I am alive. Today's topic is on love. My family's church. This is the church my grandma Cora goes to, St. Matthew's right here. They've been going for many years, I think maybe 50 years, I don't know, since they've came to the US. Let me get you situated. But the book I'll be referring to a lot in this video is How to Love. The most important affair in our human existence is how to love. Love itself. And if you don't know how to love, that really affects your life, really affects your happiness and everything you do, your entire existence. Because the whole search of our existence is to search for this essence of love that we have within us, to let this essence flow through you, to let it pass through you. And that is what we try to do in life. I think it's hard to live without love in your life. Now, there's many things, and many people do not know what is love, because that is the big question. What is love? What is true love? What is pure love? I have a lot of big decisions to make in my life, as do you. One of the big decisions of this year I've been looking towards is marriage. But there's this thing with love, this nuance with love that makes it feel risky, makes it feel like a wager. Because love at times is a wager, because you are putting yourself at risk. You are putting yourself at the potential of feeling heartbreak, of pain, of suffering. Love is a choice, of course. It is a choice to feel this suffering. Who you love is who you are willing to suffer for, who are you willing to sacrifice for, who you are willing to give it all to. And that is why it feels like a wager. But love is a promise, especially when it comes to marriage. Love is a promise and a commitment, and it's a decision. I must remind myself that this is not anything new. I'm not saying anything I think that is crazy, I don't think, but love is crazy. Love makes us crazy, because something I've learned, I think, that has been hard to distinguish what love is that love and hate are one and the same. Love and hate are one and the same coin. The soft membrane between love and hate is very, very subtle, because both hold the passion that is within us. It carries this essence of what we are as humans, and in our existence and in our experience as humans, we hold this love, and we have hate only because we have love. Because if love did not exist, hate would not exist, and vice versa. Maybe hate, if we were to define it, is a lack of love, but I don't think it's that simple. I don't think it's that simply defined. Because love leads to war, and war leads to hate. Love is what we fight for in war, and all is fair in love and war, as they all say. But love is the ultimate substrate within us. Love is necessary for our existence. It is hard, and it's also easy to forget that love is necessary for our existence, but often we do forget. Often as we view the mechanisms of life and this need for survival, we forget what love is. We forget that we have love. We forget that we can choose love in matters when it contains our survival, in matters where it contains our desires, in matters of our daily affairs. we often forget to choose love in this world and in the past and throughout our history. We have seen what happens when we forget love, and we also see when we become blinded by love. Love is so fickle, and it makes a man do crazy things. But love is the ultimate substrate. It shows how everything is so interconnected and interwoven. Love is everywhere, and it's what binds us together. Love is in perpetual motion, ever flowing. You cannot hold on to love forever. You have to let it pass through you. To let it flow, you have to let it go. And this is one of the hardest things about love, how paradoxical it can be. How can you love if you have to let it go? It's so cliche from all these movies of displaying how if you really love something, you must let it go. But it's true, as I am a little bird trying to let go of things in my life. Because if they were meant to stay with you, they would remain with you. It is in our fate to be loved and forgotten. We cannot hold on to this life forever. Nothing is forever in this world, this material world we live in. This membrane that we pass through, this love, this membrane of trust, this is what I think holds us together, this membrane. Love is like a gateless gate. It's so, again, paradoxical. We don't know what is permitted through these gates, but often we create these boundaries of ourselves. We create this protection around ourselves, this gate. But we must let love pass through these gates. We must let it out of these gates. We cannot hold love in a cage, as that is, you cannot hold Mother Nature. You cannot contain it. Love is in our nature. We have this nature to love. And I'm thinking of birds right now. I have these images of birds because, birds speak in sentences. They communicate and they display altruistic behaviors. And many creatures do showcase and exemplify altruism. And if you don't know what altruism is when a person or thing is willing to sacrifice itself for another person or being or creature. And I think altruism is the greatest argument against a Darwinistic world where everything is in competition. I think I've been reading this book, The Vital Question. I'm only in the first few chapters. But there's a lot of cooperation needed for life to happen, for life to exist between all these different creatures, these symbiotic relations. Of course, I am not a biologist. I am not that's not my strong suit. But it is very interesting to see that miracle happen 3.5 billion years ago between the prokaryotes and the eukaryotes, because we all come from something. Where does life come from? That is the great mysterious question that we all try to answer and try to find solace in this pursuit of wisdom, philosophy, the love of wisdom. And there's an important thing here. I think knowing and understanding are not necessarily the same. They're not necessarily always true together. Because to understand and to know can lead to many different things. Information does not mean you understand. An overload of information without understanding, without restraint, is just noise. And noise, it's hard to have love when there's noise, when you are always in a rush, when you cannot make sense of these thoughts, these emotions, this craziness of life. Because we want order. We desire order. Life desires order. But do you need order to have love? I don't know. Love is messy. Love is messy. And that's why I rely on the wisdom of thich, nhat, hanh. Although he is a spiritual teacher and a peace activist of Eastern thought, it's hard because it's so easy to forget. And these are just simple lessons that you have to put into practice. I find in this book it is simple. Love can be simple. In how you talk and how you walk and how you do all your things in life and how you live. I'm going to refer to page 64. I read this entire book on our trip in Asia, and I often refer back. I've read many different books from his series. On my van trip I read this book, How to Connect. Maybe it's too bright. Sorry if it's too bright. The sun is beaming, a source of life. And I also read How to See when I first went to Taiwan back in 2023. And then I plan to read this one, Art of Communicating. But let me read a page from How to Love. Maybe you'll listen to him over me. The practice of metta. I don't know if I'm pronouncing or spelling that right. I don't know why I said spell, but let me cast a spell on you. To love is, first of all, to accept ourselves as we actually are. The first practice of love is to know oneself. The Pali word metta means loving kindness. When we practice meditation, we see the conditions that have caused us to be the way we are. This makes it easy for us to accept ourselves, including our suffering and our happiness. When we practice meditation, we touch our deepest aspirations, but the willingness and aspiration to love is not yet love. We have to look deeply with all our being in order to understand the object of our meditation. The practice of love meditation is not autosuggestion. We have to look deeply at our body, feelings, perceptions, mental formations, and consciousness. We can observe how much peace, happiness, and lightness we already have. We can notice whether we are anxious about accidents or misfortunes, and how much anger, irritation, fear, anxiety, or worry are still in us. As we become aware of the feelings in us, our self-understanding will deepen. We will see how our fears and lack of peace contribute to our unhappiness, and we will see the value of valuing ourselves. We will see the value of loving ourselves and cultivating a heart of compassion. Love will enter our thoughts, words, and actions. So to simply put, to know thyself is to love. To have love is to have awareness. To have awareness is to have understanding, and understanding leads to love, to a greater love, and greater love leads to a greater understanding. The whole purpose of love is so we can understand each other in this whimsical, crazy world we live in. If we lack love, we lack understanding. And when you lack understanding, you lack love, and it goes into a spiral. It sounds like circular logic, but really it's a spiral. When you go up the spiral, you have a greater awareness and a greater love. But when you go down the spiral, you lack love and you lack understanding. And when this happens, you lack patience. When you lack love, you lack patience. It's hard to have understanding when you do not have patience. Patience and grace are essential ingredients, I guess, to say, to love. Patience and grace. Through meditation and prayer, you can find patience and grace, because this affects the pace of your thoughts, the pace of your life, the pace of your emotions, the pace of how you see the world, on how you live. In your pace, have grace, and then you will find the pace of your love and the rhythm of all it is, of what life is, of what love is. We have a duty, we have a responsibility on how we express our love and on how we receive it. It's in our duty to love and to be loved. It's in our duty to be able to communicate and express this love to one another, because that's all we really have. If we lack this, love cannot exist. Love is a promise. Love is a promise. It is not a wager. It is a promise. And having a promise is a very scary thing. It requires you to give yourself up. It requires you to be altruistic. It requires you to sacrifice yourself for something that is not necessary always for you, not necessary for your survival. But we need love to survive. We need love to survive and to exist. Love is an expression of form. Love is an expression of essence. And if we do not have essence, we do not have this essence of love, where do we find meaning? How do we shape meaning? How do we shape our souls without love? This is the most important human affair in our existence. And we need to attend to it. We need to slow down and to control this pace. We are often rushed towards objects of our desire. We often rush towards the end, towards something greater. But what is the rush? Really question the rush. Really take this inquiry to question, what is the rush? Because when you're in a haste, you will not have grace, and you will lose your pace. You need to have pace to have grace. You need to control the pace of life to have grace, to find prayer, to find meditation. That is what is needed. You do not find a thing, you become it by looking. We do not find reality untouched, we find reality through the lens of our asking. And then sometimes some things are found by looking, but other times things are found by stopping the look. There's these two Chinese words, Chinese characters, that I often spam and use because my Chinese is not the greatest. 我的中文不好. But the two Chinese words I often use are 加油 and 汤品. 加油 means let's go, add gas, while 汤品 is to lie flat. These two words contradict each other, of course, but the nuance to know when to add gas and to when to lie flat is very important when it comes to love. 汤品, when to lie flat and when to stop the look, when to reflect and when to reject. Because 汤品 is often used in response to the rush of life, often used maybe against society's use of capitalism, of capitalistic pursuits, of this never-ending insatiable desire. 汤品 I use to remind myself that sometimes you need to reject this culture, reject these mechanisms that drive you towards these pursuits that may not be in the interest of you, that may not love you, that may not serve you. So 汤品, when to lie flat, when to have that wisdom to lie flat, to reject, to stop and to reflect and pause. And then 加油 is when to add gas, when to move forward, when to go after it and really add that zest that is needed in love and in life. Love is a driving force. Love binds us together in our bonds. It is found in nature. Yeah. There's a lot going on around me. I think I'm starting to get distracted by all the moving around going on. But I'll say I do believe in God, I do believe in love. To have a direct encounter with what is love. This pure awareness, this pure love. I think we come closer to it in prayer and meditation. There's a school bus behind me. I think the kids just got out of school. But I don't know if pure awareness is ever obtainable, but I think we come close. I think through altruism we can come close to a pure awareness with pure love. Because I think altruism is much closer to this pure love that I speak of when birds chirp to protect others, maybe to the detriment of their own well-being, because when they make a noise, the predators come after them, but they make warning signs for the other birds to escape. Monkeys take care of their young, elephants take care of their young. There's so many animals that take care of their young, and this is altruism. This is altruistic. And of course you can argue that this is just a survival mechanism, but I think there's more to it than just that. I think love is what drives life to propagate and to keep moving. Because if we were all selfish, if we all were not connected, if we were all isolated in our own desires, in our own survival needs, then life would not continue. I think love and life are one and the same. They are mirrors and projections of one another. And I'm wary to go too much into a poetic expression, because I feel like sometimes poetic expression feels too floaty and birdy and not rooted or grounded, but it's love speak. Poetic words and expression is love speak, is the wisdom, philosophy, the love of wisdom. You cannot contain love, you must let it pass through your awareness towards your relationships to others, to the world, and to what is beyond. When you try to draw the lines, it becomes fuzzy, and the labels you try to convene with dissipate. You will speak as if you are foolish, but sit with it patiently of what is unknown. It's okay to act the fool. You must have courage to be the fool when it comes to love. But do not be blinded by it. There is no need to rush to the finish in your love, in your awareness, and in your relationships. When you find patience, you find peace. You find grace to walk in pace. Finding pace within your grace helps you lead with love, with your awareness. It leads you to a greater awareness. A witness with greater awareness leads to a greater love. Alright. I think it's time soon. Still have 8 minutes to 33 minutes, but we may end it here shortly. Got my friend here, Allie the dragon. Say hi, Allie. Hello. But to my future kids, future grandkids, the greatest thing you can do in your life is to learn how to let love flow. In you, out of you, in, out, within, without. That is the greatest endeavor, the greatest pursuit you can do. To give and receive love. It's a lifetime endeavor. And I'm still learning. I'm only a quarter through my life. And I have a lot to learn about love. I am wholly incomplete. I am not perfect. I fall into sin. I fall into mistakes. I fail. But what carries me is love. I'm getting images of my grandma in my mind, my grandma Cora, who came here so many years ago. Love is what carried her through in those uncertain times. Love is what carries us. She moved here with nothing but herself and my grandpa due to Navy, not knowing a lick of English, but having this love for her children, having this love for the future, for her future grandchildren. She didn't even know me, but she loved me before I was even born. She had this vision for opportunity here in the US, in America. And love is what allows her to give herself up to her family, to God, to the world, to love. Love is what gives us up to love. That's a bit weird, I think. But it's crazy to think how much love a mother holds, how much love a grandmother holds, how much love a parent holds, and I cannot even fathom yet what it's like to be a parent or grandparent, but I can feel the love they pass on to me through the family trees. I can feel the love passed down to me, this will of fire, this flame, this eternal flame. Through prayer and meditation, I find this love. Helps me find clarity. I'm sure I will fail. I'm sure I will forget how to love in those moments of passion, in those moments when everything is so uncertain, so chaotic, when everything is against you, but you must find it in your heart. You must find it within you, this love. The world continues to move. It's always in motion. In our breath, in our resolve, we are in constant this equilibrium, this flux of energy, this life energy that is love. It is in constant flux. And to try and hold on to it is a fool's errand. But nonetheless, we try. And in that pursuit, in that trying, we capture life, we capture love in our being, in our essence. Now, I know that was a lot. So I'll try to be practical in these last 4 minutes. Sit with me. Sit with me. Sit with me in this moment. Oh, dude. Live the adventure. You will find love. Love will free you. Seek love and you will find freedom. Learn to let go. It's a little loud. Oh. Learn to find something beyond yourself. This will show you yourself. This will reflect and show you what love is. But never be certain. Do not let good nor evil be your master, because the self-righteous, this pride, this sin may rule over you. You must serve it, but have no master. In this love, you need to just be between this flux of master and servant. I'm trying to be more practical, but this may not make sense. But love is not necessarily always needed to make sense. Sometimes you have to tune in and tune out your senses to find love. What must you let go? What must you forget in this act of love? this oscillation, this swing. Love is a swing. Love is the key, but there is no key. There is no key, because you are the key. Alright, I'm sorry, that was not practical at all. But the practice of impracticality is a practice in itself, and love is impractical at times. And if you learn to be impractical in your practice, perhaps you reach something that is closer to pure love. You have to let go, I think. Pure love. Love is a practice. Just because you fall out of practice, that does not make you worthless. That does not make you useless. That does not make you feel, or that does not make you out of utility. I think this world makes you think that your worth must come out of utility, out of use. But what is the use in that? What is the use? Just because you fall out of practice, just because you fall out of a craft, that does not make you worthless as a human. Love is a practice. It comes in seasons. It oscillates in the ebbs and flows. Love flows. Alright, well, love and appreciate you. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Oh, you just have to wait. They say love don't come easy. It's a game of